In these years of Shakespeare's writing, was a new Elizabeth had died, like last year. The first Elizabeth had died, and then the King of Scotland came down and said, "I'm going to be king now, and I want to see big productions, and I want it to be." That's why we've had to show videos for the last few things. We just don't have, in the script, we don't have that idea of how powerful it is. But so I want to show one more video later. But
so does this go out to the little children that were lost in the Amazon for 40 days?
We get them on the boat.
They find them.
They should be.
Prospero find them.
So basically, it's just that it's a larger production, so that when we go back next month to the early shows, we're not going to see this big highfalutin stuff. It's all done on the stage, as we all see in the past. But you got to see it while we can see it. The new king gave it to us. King James first.
You have the sound effects.
Yeah, you guys are good at the sound effects.
Got them down.
I don't have storm.
Oh. So, now we have seen the shipwreck and the nonsense that opened the show, and that was a very powerful moment back in 1611 when they did that, because, even on stage, they didn't expect that big stuff, shaking. So it was a different look at everything. And once we played.
Did you ever see the shadow puppet version that they did at Tempest? They had a troupe from the mainland, California, who specialized in doing the Tempest, the shadow puppets.
I probably saw
it. Was
Okay. They like it, I know.
But I did see Moses Goods in his version.
Oh, at the Mission House Museum.
I thought, no, it was actually the Boy Shakespeare Festival at Mark's.
Oh.
And they had puppets that Sandy Finney made with a little knob in the back of the puppet's head that you could work the puppet this way. You probably saw it. And Ariel
The one where they used puppets, I don't remember him, but maybe I'm thinking of a different play. Maybe I'm thinking of Some Night's Dream that he did it.
Yeah. But this is what he did with
the puppets were
loud. Connor was in it. He was playing. They worked the puppets, and then the voices, the characters just sat on the side and followed whatever the puppet did.
That's the one I was talking about.
Get puppeteer. Get puppet people.
Or Kevin
And they really worked well with it. That way they got to use a lot more.
You know him? Oh,
So, yeah.
So he was your teacher?
Yeah, I didn't teach the class. I wish. This is what I'm doing now.
Oh.
I wish I had
She always wanted to do this. So
Yeah.
just
I would do that.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, he's so accessible. Some of them are
Before we
scary.
get started, I wanted to show this is the last show that I saw at Shakespeare's Globe which was Mark Rylance doing, three guys doing all the roles in Tempest. And Mark Rylance just got a rope coming down from the heavens, as it were, and I forget why he was doing it that way, but he was swinging on the rope back and forth. And then afterwards, I got this postcard, and he signed it back. So I thought I'd pass this around. He also drew a little gimmicky of the globe to show you that that's him standing on the stage.
So you went up to him after you bought the
Yep.
postcard, and
And he was there.
He's a marvelous person too, especially after the show. He's just open to everything he did.
just comes out and shakes hands.
Yeah. Well, they have a special room about this big downstairs where you sit down and have a talk about what they had just done and what did you think of it. Of course, I had to sit in the first row. I saw his Hamlet, and he said, I did something new tonight. I don't know if anybody recognized what it was, but this is what it was. And he said, at the end, when Hamlet has his stepfather drink the poison, he holds his head, you drink this. But instead, he had a drink. And the father knew, what have I got to lose? He shrugged his shoulders. I thought it was a marvelous touch, and I've seen it done in other productions ever since then. But I don't know if it's his idea. Who's ready? Oh, also up in the back here is a little six voices who did the music in the background. It's really interesting to consider three people doing this whole show. We got 5 and we don't have enough.
They must have been winded after that performance.
They were higher than a kite. And
So he retired after that.
It doesn't work out.
It's interesting to watch. There was this big burly man who played bosun at the beginning of the ride, and then he turns into being the Miranda. Who? Really works well.
Oh, that's like when we did Midsummer Night's Dream. What's his name? He played the woman. He dressed up. He's like this huge guy.
Oh yeah,
Richard.
God, Valesco.
Richard.
That was
He's like 300 pounds. It's like extra guy. He had to dress up like a woman. They were teaching him to be the engine.
well. It worked.
It worked. Okay. Right. Act 1. Scene 1.
Two.
Scene 2. I was skipping over the Tempest. This is
Miranda.
who enters Prospero and Miranda.
Jim Hell.
If by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters in this roar, allay them. The sky, it seems, would power down sinking pitch, but that the sea, mounting to the welkin's cheek, dashes the fire out. Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer. A brave vessel, who had no doubt some noble creature in her, dashed all to pieces. Oh, the cry did knock against my very heart. Poor souls, they perished. Had I been any god of power, I would have sunk the sea within the earth, or ere it should the good ship so have swallowed, and the frauding souls within her.
Be collected, no more amazement. Fill your piteous heart, there's no harm done.
Oh, woe the day.
No harm. I have done nothing but in care of thee. Thee, my dear one, thee, my daughter, who are ignorant of what thou art, not knowing of whence I am, nor that I am more better than Prospero, master of a full poor cell, and thy no greater father.
More to know did never meddle with my thoughts.
'Tis time I should inform thee, father. Lend thy hand and pluck my magic garment from me. So, lie there, my art. Wipe thou thine eyes. Have comfort. The direful spectacle of the rack which touched the very virtue of compassion in thee, I have, with such provision in mine art, so safely ordered, that there is not so much perdition as an hair betid to any creature in the vessel, which thou heardst cry, which thou sawest sink. Sit down, thou must now know, father.
You have often begun to tell me what I am, but stopped and left me to a bootless inquisition, concluding, stay, not yet.
The hour is now come. The very minute bids thee ope thine ear. Obey and be attentive. Canst thou remember a time before we came unto this cell? I do not think thou canst, for then thou wast not out 3 years old.
Certainly, sir, I can.
By what? By any other house or person? Of anything the image tell me that hath kept with thy remembrance.
'Tis far off, and rather like a dream, than in assurance that my remembrance warrants. Had I not 4 or 5 women once that tended me?
Thou hadst, and more, Miranda. But how is it that this lives in thy mind? What seest thou else in the dark backward and abysm of time? If thou rememberest aught ere thou camest here, how thou camest here thou mayest.
But that I do not.
12 years since, Miranda, 12 years since, thy father was the Duke of Milan and a prince of power.
Sir, are not you my father?
Thy mother was a piece of virtue, and she said thou wast my daughter, and thy father was Duke of Milan, and his only heir and princess no worse issued.
O the heavens, what foul play had we that we came from thence? Or blessed was't we did?
Both, my girl. By foul play, as thou sayest, we were heaved thence, but blessedly holp hither.
Oh, my heart bleeds to think o the team that I had turned you to, which is from my remembrance. Please you, father?
My brother and thy uncle, called Antonio, I pray thee mark me, that a brother should be so perfidious. He whom, next thyself, of all the world I loved, and to him put the manage of my state, as at that time, through all the signories it was at the first, and Prospero the prime duke, being so reputed in dignity with the liberal arts without a parallel, those being all my study. The government I cast upon my brother, and to my state grew stranger, being transported and wrapped in secret studies. Thy false uncle, dost thou attend me?
Sir, most heedfully.
Being once perfected, how to grant suits, how to deny them, who to advance and who to trash for overtopping, new created the creatures that were mine. I say, or changed them, or else new formed them, having both the key of officer and office. Set all hearts in the state to what tune pleased his ear, that now he was the ivy which had hid my princely trunk and sucked my verdure out on it. Thou attendest not?
Oh, good sir, I do.
I pray thee, mark me. I thus, neglecting worldly ends, all dedicated to closeness and the bettering of my mind, with that which, but being so retired, or prized all popular rate, in my false brother awakened an evil nature, and my trust, like a good parent, did beget of him a falsehood in his contrary, as great as my trust was.
which had indeed no limit, a confidence sans bound, he being thus lauded, not only with what my revenue yielded, but what my power might else exact, like one who, having unto truth, by telling of it, made such a sinner of his memory to credit his own lie. He did believe he was the dupe, indeed, out of the substitution and the executing the outward face of royalty with all prerogative. Hence, his ambition growing, dost thou hear?
Your tale, sir, would cure deafness.
To have no screen between this part he played, and him he played it for, he needs will be absolute Milan. Me, poor man, my library was dukedom large enough. Of temporal royalties he thinks me now incapable. Confederates, so dry he was for sway, with King of Naples, to give him annual tribute, do him homage, subject his coronet to his crown, and bend the dukedom yet unbowed, alas, poor Milan, to most ignoble stooping.
Oh, the heavens!
Mark his condition, and the event then, and tell me if this might be a brother.
I should sin to think but nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad sons.
Now, the condition, this King of Naples, being an enemy to me inveterate, hearkens my brother's suit, which was that he, in lieu of the premises of homage, and I know not how much tribute, should presently extirpate me and mine out of the dukedom, and confer fair Milan with all the honours on my brother. Whereon a treacherous army levied, one midnight, fated to the purpose, did Antonio open the gates of Milan, and in the dead of darkness the ministers for the purpose hurried thence, me and thy crying self.
Alack for pity! I, not remembering how I cried out then, will cry it o'er again. It is a hint that brings mine eyes to it.
Hear a little further, and then I'll bring thee to the present business, which now is upon us, which, without the which this story were most impertinent.
Wherefore did they not that hour destroy us?
Well demanded, wench. My tale provokes that question. Dear, they durst not. So dear the love my people bore me, nor set a mark so bloody on the business, but with colours fairer painted their foul ends. In few, they hurried us aboard a bark, bore us some leagues to sea, where they prepared a rotten carcass of a butt, not rigged, nor tackled, sail, nor mast. The very rats instinctively have quit it. There they hoist us, to cry to the sea that roared to us, to sigh to the winds, whose pity sighing back again, did us but loving wrong.
Alack, what trouble was I then to you?
Oh, a cherubim thou wast, that did preserve me. Thou didst smile, infused with a fortitude from heaven, when I have decked the sea with drops full of salt under my burthen groan, which raised in me an undergoing stomach to bear up against what should ensue.
How came we ashore?
By providence divine. Some food we had, and some fresh water, that a noble Neapolitan, Gonzalo, out of his charity, who, being then appointed master of this design, did give us, with rich garments, linens, stuffs, and necessaries, which since have steeded much, so of his gentleness. Knowing I love my books, he furnished me from mine own library with volumes that I prize above my dukedom.
Would I might but ever see that man.
Now I arise, sit still, and hear the last of our sea sorrow. Here in this island we arrived, and here have I, thy schoolmaster, made thee more profit than other princes can, that have more time for vainer hours, and tutors not so careful.
Heavens, thank you for it, and now I pray you, sir, for still 'tis beating in my mind your reason for raising the sea storm.
No, thus far forth. By accident most strange, bountiful fortune, now, my dear lady, hath mine enemies brought to this shore, and by my prescience I find my zenith doth depend upon a most auspicious star, whose influence, if now I court not, but omit my fortunes, will ever droop. Here, cease more questions. Thou art inclined to sleep. 'Tis a good dullness, and give it way. I know thou canst not choose. Come away, servant. Come. I am ready now. Approach, my Ariel. Come.
All hail, great master, grave sir, hail! I come to answer thy best pleasure, be it to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride on the curled clouds, to thy strong bidding task Ariel and all his quality.
Hast thou, spirit, performed to point the tempest that I bade thee?
To every article I boarded the king's ship, now on the beak, now on the waist, the deck, in every cabin. I flamed amazement. Sometimes I divide and burn in many places on the topmast, the yards, and the bowsprit would I flame distinctly, then meet and join. Jove's lightning, the precursors of the dreadful thunderclaps, more momentary and sight outrunning were not. The fire and cracks of sulphurous roaring, the mighty Neptune seems to besiege and make the bold waves tremble. Yea, his dread trident shake.
My brave spirit, who was so firm, so constant that this coil would not infect his reason.
Not a soul, but felt a fever of the mad, and played some tricks of desperation. All but mariners plunged in the foaming brine and quit the vessel. Then all afire with me, the king's son Ferdinand, with hair up staring, then like reeds not hair, was the first man that leapt, cried, Hell is empty and all the devils are here.
Why, that's my spirit. But was not this nigh shore?
Close by, my master.
But are they, Ariel, safe?
Not a hair perished, or their sustaining garments not a blemish, but fresher than before. And as thou badest me, in troops I have dispersed them about the isle. The king's son have I landed by himself. When I left cooling of the air with sighs in an odd angle of the isle, and sitting his arms in this sad knot.
Of the king's ship, the mariners, say how thou hast disposed, and all the rest of the fleet.
Safely in harbor is the king's ship, in the deep nook where once they calls me up at midnight, to fetch dew from the still vexed Versmoots. And there she's hid, the mariners all under hatches stowed, who with a charm joined to their snuffed labor I have left asleep. And for the rest of the fleet, which I disperse, they all have met again and are upon the Mediterranean float, bound sadly home for Naples, supposing that they saw the king's ship wrecked and his great person perish.
Ariel, thy charge exactly is performed, but there's more work. What is the time of the day?
Past the mid-season.
At least 2 glasses. The time 'twixt 6 and now must by us both be spent most preciously.
Is there more toil? Since thou didst give me pains, let me remember thee, what thou hast promised, which is not yet performed me.
Oh, now? Moody? What is thou canst demand?
My liberty.
Before the time be out? No more.
I prithee, remember I have done thee worthy service, told thee no lies, made thee no mistakings, served without or grudge or grumblings. Thou didst promise to bate me a full year.
Dost thou forget from what a torment I did free thee?
No.
Dost thou, and thinkest it much to tread the ooze of the salt deep, to run upon the sharp wind of the north, to do me business in the veins of the earth when it is baked with frost?
I do not, sir.
Thou liest, malignant thing. Hast thou forgot the foul witch Sycorax, who with age and envy was grown into a hoop? Hast thou forgot her?
No, sir.
Thou hast. Where was she born? Speak, tell me.
Sir, in Argier.
Oh, was she so? I must once in a month recount what thou hast been, which thou forgettest. This damned witch Sycorax, for mischiefs manifold and sorceries terrible, to enter humane hearing, from Argier, thou knowest, was banished. For one thing she did, they would not take her life. Is this not true?
Aye, sir.
This blue-eyed hag was hither brought with child, and here was left by the sailors. Thou, my slave, as thou reportest thyself, was then her servant. And, for thou wast a spirit too delicate to act her earthy and abhorred commands, refusing her grand hests, she did confine thee, by help of her more potent ministers, and in her most unmitigable rage, into a cloven pine, within which rift imprisoned thou didst painfully remain 12 years, within which space she died and left thee there, where thou didst vent thy groans as fast as mill wheels strike. Then was this island, save for the son that he did litter here, a freckled whelp, hag-born, not honored with a human shape.
Yes, Caliban, her son.
Dull thing. I say so he that Caliban, whom now I keep in service, thou best knowest what torment I did find thee in. Thy groans did make wolves howl, and penetrate the breasts of ever-hungry bears. It was a torment to lay upon the damned, which Sycorax could not again undo. It was mine art, when I arrived, and heard thee that made gape the pine, and let thee out.
I thank thee, master.
If thou more murmurest, I will rend an oak, and peg thee in his knotty entrails, till thou howlst away 12 winters.
Pardon, master. I will be corresponding to command and do my writing gently.
Do so, and after 2 days I will discharge thee.
That's my noble master. What shall I do? Say what? What shall I do?
Go, make thyself like a nymph of the sea, be subject to no sight but thine and mine, invisible to every eyeball else. Go, take this shape, and hither come in't. Go, hence with diligence. Awake, dear heart, awake. Thou hast slept well. Awake.
The strangeness of your story put heaviness in me.
Shake it off. Come on. We'll visit Caliban, my slave, who never yields us kind answer.
'Tis a villain, sir, I do not love to look on.
But as 'tis, we cannot miss him. He does make our fire, fetch in our wood, and serves in offices that profit us. Well, ho, slave Caliban, thou earth, thou, speak.
There's wood enough within.
Come forth, I say, there's other business for thee. Come, thou tortoise, when? A fine apparition. My quaint Ariel, hark in thine ear.
My lord, it shall be done.
Thou poisonous slave, got by the devil himself upon thy wicked dam, come forth!
As wicked, do as ever my mother brushed with raven's feather from unwholesome fen, drop on you both. The south wind blow on ye, and blister you all over.
For this, be sure, tonight thou shalt have cramps, side stitches that shall pen up thy breath. Urchins shall for that vast of night, that they may work all exercise on thee. Thou shalt be pinched as thick as honeycomb, and each pinch more stinging than bees can make 'em.
I must eat my dinner. This island's mine by Sycorax, my mother, which thou takest from me. When thou camest first, thou stokest me, and made much of me, wouldst give me water with berries in it, and teach me how to name the bigger light, and how the less that burns by day and night. And then I loved thee, and showed thee all the qualities of the isle, the fresh springs, brine pits, barren place, and fertile. Cursed be I that did so! All the charms of Sycorax, toads, beetles, bats, light on you! For I am all the subject that you have, which first was mine own king. And here you sty me in this hard rock, whilst you do keep me from the rest of the island.
Thou most lying slave, whom stripes may move, not kindness, I have used thee, filth as thou art, with humane care, and lodged thee in mine own cell, till thou didst seek to violate the honor of my child.
Oh, would that had been done! Thou didst prevent me, and I had peopled else this isle with Calibans.
Abhorred slave, which any print of goodness wilt not take, being capable of all ill, I pity thee, took pains to make thee speak, taught thee each hour one thing or other, when thou didst not, savage, know thine own meaning, but wouldst gabble like a thing most brutish. I endowed thy purposes with words that made them known, but thy vile race, that though thou didst learn, had that in which good natures could not abide to be with. Therefore wast thou deservedly confined into this rock, who hadst deserved more than prison.
You taught me language, and my profit on it is I know how to curse. The red plague rid you for learning me your language.
Exceed hence. Fetch us in fuel, and be quick. Thou'rt best to answer the other business. Shruggest thou, malice? If thou neglectest or dost unwillingly what I command, I'll rack thee with old cramps, fill all thy bones with aches, and make thee roar, that beasts shall tremble at thy din.
No, pray thee, I must obey. His art is of such power, it would control my damned gods, Stetapos, and make a vassal of him.
So, slave, hence.
Come unto these yellow sands, and then take hands. Curtsied when you have done, and kissed. The wild waves whist, footed featly here and there, and sweet sprites hear the burthen. Hark, hark, bark. The watchdogs bark, 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 bark. I hear the strain of chanting clear. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Where should this music be? The air? The earth? It sounds no more. It sure waits upon some god in the island. I'm sitting on the bank. Oh, weeping again, thinking my father's wrath. This music crept by me upon the waters. Laying both their fury in my passion with its sweet air. Thence I have followed it, and hath drawn me rather. But 'tis gone. No, now it begins again.
Full phantom 5 their father lies, of his bones are coral made. These are pearls that were his eyes, nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his bell, ding dong, hark now I hear them, ding dong bell.
Did he remind me my drowned father? This is no mortal business, nor no sound that the earth owns. I hear it now above me.
The fringed curtains of thine eye advance, and say what thou seest yond.
What is a spirit? Lord, how it looks about. Believe me, sir, it carries a brave form, but 'tis a spirit.
Oh, wench, it eats and sleeps, and hath such senses as we have. Such. This gallant which thou seest was in the rack, but he's something stained with grief. That's beauty's canker. Thou mightst call him a goodly person. He hath lost his fellows, and strays about to find them.
I might call him a thing divine, for nothing natural I ever saw so noble.
It goes on, I see, as my soul prompts it. Spirit, fine spirit, I'll free thee within 2 days for this.
Oh, sure, the goddess on whom these airs attend. Vouchsafe my prayer made known, if you remain upon this island, and that you will some good instruction how I may bear me here. My prime request, which I do last pronounce, is, oh, you wonder, if you be made, or no?
No wonder, sir, but certainly a maid.
My language? Oh, heavens, I am the best of them that speak the speech. Were I but where 'tis spoken,
How? The best? What were thou as the king of Naples heard thee?
A single thing as I am now that wonders to hear thee speak of Naples. He does hear me, and that he does I weep myself in Naples, and with mine eyes ne'er since at ebb beheld the king my father racked.
Alack for mercy.
Yes, faith, and all this lords the Duke of Milan and his brave son being twain.
The Duke of Milan and his more braver daughter could control thee, if now 'twere fit to do it. At the first sight they have changed eyes. Delicate Ariel, I'll set thee free for this. A word, good sir. I fear you have done yourself some wrong. A word.
Why speaks my father so ungently? This is the third man that e'er I saw, the first that e'er I sighed for. Pity move my father to be inclined my way.
Oh, if virgin and your affection not go forth, I'll make you the queen of Naples.
Soft, sir, one word more. They are both in either's powers, but this swift business I must uneasy make, lest too light winning make the prize light. One word more, I charge thee that thou attend me. Thou dost here usurp the name thou owest not, and hast put thyself upon this island as a spy, to win it from me, the Lord on it.
No, as I am a man.
There's nothing ill can dwell in such a temple. If the ill spirit have so fair a house, good things will strive to dwell with it.
Follow me, I'll speak you not for him, he's a traitor. Come, I'll manacle thy neck and feet together. Sea water shalt thou drink, thy food shall be fresh brook mussels, withered roots and husks, wherein the acorn cradled. Follow.
No, I will resist such entertainment till mine enemy has more power. Well, swing.
Oh, dear father, make not too rash a trial of him, for he's gentle and not fearful.
What, I say, my foot, my tutor? Put thy sword up, traitor, who makest a shrew but darest not strike. Thy conscience is so possessed with guilt. Come, from thy ward, for I can here disarm thee with this stick, and make thy weapon drop.
Beseech you, my father.
Hence, hang not on my garments.
Sir, have pity, I'll be his surety.
Silence! One word more shall make me chide thee, if not hate thee. What, an advocate for an impostor? Hush! Thou thinkest there is no more such shapes as he, having seen but him in Caliban? Foolish wench! To the most of men this is a Caliban, and they to him are angels.
My affections are then most humble. I have no ambition to see a goodlier man.
Come on, obey. Thy nerves are in their infancy again, and have no vigor in them.
Ah, so they are. My spirits, as in a dream, are all bound up. My father's lost the weakness which I feel, the wrack of all my friends, nor this man's threats, to whom I am subdued, are but light to me. Might I but through my prison once a day behold this maid? All corners else of the earth, on the earth, let liberty make me use of. Space enough have I in such a prison.
It works. Come on, thou hast done well, fine Ariel. Follow me. Hark what thou else shalt do me.
Be of comfort. My father's of a better nature, sir, than he appears by speech. This is unwanted, which now came from him.
Thou shalt be as free as mountain winds, but then exactly do all points of my command.
To the syllable.
Come, follow, speak not for him.
Amazing.
So we're moving on to Act 2. Act 2, Scene 1. Enter Alonso, Sebastian, Antonio, Gonzalo, Adrian, Francisco, and others.
Half the audience.
Beseech you, sir, be merry. You have cause, so have we all, of joy. For our escape is much beyond our loss. Our hint of woe is common. Every day some sailor's wife, the masters of some merchant, and the merchant have just our theme of woe. But for the miracle, our preservation, few in millions can speak like us. Then wisely, good sir, weigh our sorrow with our comfort.
Prithee, peace.
I'm receives comfort like cold porridge. And the visitor will not give him more to sow.
Who's Antonio?
Antonio's right here. Ferdinand, Antonio. Look, he's winding up the watch on his wit. By and by it will strike.
Sir,
One, tell.
when every grief is entertained, that's offered, comes to the entertainer,
Dover.
a dolor. Comes to him indeed. You have spoken truer than you purposed.
You have taken it wiselier than I meant you should.
Therefore, my lord,
Aye, what? A spendthrift is he of his tongue.
I prithee, spare.
well, I have done. But yet,
It will be talking. Whichever is the Adrian or good wager, first begins to crow. The old cock. The old well, done the wager, laughter, a match. Doth his island seem to be desert? You're paid. Uninhabitable and most accessible. Yet, he would not miss it. It must be the still and the tender and the delicate temperance. Temperance was a delicate wench, and as subtle as he most earnestly endured. The air breathes upon us such more sweetly, as if it had lungs and rotten ones. Oh, as if 'twere perfumed by a fin.
here is one thing, advantageous to life.
True, save the means to live. These that are none or little,
How lush and lusty the grass looks. How green.
the ground and green, the ground indeed is tawny. I wish an eye of green in it. He misses that much. He doth mistake the truth totally.
But the rarity of it is, which is indeed almost beyond credit,
As many vouched rarities are.
that our garments, being as they were, drenched in the sea, hold not with them their freshness and glosses, being rather new dye than stained with salt water.
But if one of his pockets should speak, would it not say he lies? Aye, and very falsely pocket up his report.
Methinks our garments are now as fresh as when we first put them on first in Afric, at the marriage of the king's fair daughter Claribel to the king of Tunis.
'Twas a sweet marriage, and we prosper well in our return. Adrian, please.
Somebody's be Adrian.
Tunis was never graced before with such a paragon to their queen.
Not since widow Dido's time.
And widow, pots of that. How came the widow in, widow Dido? She we had the widower Aeneas too. Good Lord, how you take it?
Widow Dido, said you? You make me study of that. She was of Carthage, not of Tunis.
This
That-
Tunis, sir, was Carthage.
Carthage?
I assure you, Carthage.
Now it's my turn. Adrian and Antonio. His word is more than the miraculous harp. And he has raised the wall and the houses too. What impossible matter could he make him easy next? I think he would be carry this island home in his pocket and give it to his son for an apple. As the kernel of it in the sea, bring forth more islands.
Aye.
And why, in good time.
Sir, we were talking that our garments seem now as fresh as when we wore at Tunis at the marriage of your daughter, who is now queen.
And the rarest that never came there. I beseech you, Widow Dido. Oh, Widow Dido. Aye, Widow Dido.
Is not, sir, my doublet as fresh as the first day I wore it? I mean, in a sort.
Well, that sort was well fished for.
When I wore it at your daughter's marriage.
You cram these words into my ears against the stomach of my sense. Would I had never married my daughter there, for, coming thence, my son is lost, and, in my rate, she too, who is so far from Italy removed, I ne'er again shall see her. Shashabisibi. O thou mine heir of Naples and Milan, what strange fish hath made this meal on thee?
Renfresco. Jump in there again. I didn't realize
Michael.
Okay. Sir, he may live. I saw him beat the surges under him and ride upon their backs. He trod the water whose enmity he flung aside, and breasted the surge most swollen that met him. His bold head bove the contentious waves he kept, and oared himself with his good arms and lusty stroke to the shore, that o'er his wave-worn basis bowed, as stooping to relieve him. I not doubt he came alive to that.
Oh, no, he's gone.
Sorry. Sir, you may think yourself for this great loss, but that would not bless our Europe with your daughter, and rather loose her to an African, where she is least banished from your eye, and who had cause to wet the grief on't.
Prithee, peace.
And you were kneeled on, you were kneeled to, and importuned otherwise, and all of us, and the fair soul herself weighed against the lowliness and the obedience, and which end of the beam should bow. We have lost your son, I fear forever, and Milan and Naples have more widows in them than in this business making than we had bring men to comfort them. The fault's your own.
So is the dearest of the loss.
My lord Sebastian, the truth you speak doth lack some gentleness, and time to speak it in. You rub the sore when you should bring the plaister.
Plaster. It's like putting
plaster.
plaster on. So
They spell it plaister.
yeah,
Plaster.
medicine plaster. to
Sebastian?
protect and soothe.
Sebastian.
Very well.
You rub the sore when you should bring the plaster.
There you go. Very well. And most curmudgeonly.
It is foul weather in us all, good sir, when you are cloudy.
Foul weather. Very foul.
Had I plantation of this isle, my lord.
Sow it with nettle seed, or docks, or mallows.
And were the king on it, what would I do?
Escape being drunk for want of wine.
In the commonwealth, I would by contraries execute all things. For no kind of traffic would I admit, no name of magistrate. Letters should not be known. Riches, poverty, and use of service, none. Contract, succession, born, bound of land. Tithe, vineyard, none. No use of metal, corn, or wine, or oil. No occupation. All men idle, all. And women too, but innocent and pure. No sovereignty.
Yet he would be king on it.